Well, one thing that they did think of was 1.5 million in the tax income or so. And that was something that the PNP was saying, no, that's not possible. And now we're hearing talks of, if we are in power, it will be 3.5 million. A lot of people are calling BS on this and say this is a fantastical figure that will eventually bankrupt the nation.
All right, so I'm going to look into
Mr. Matsman, what do you say to this?
I'm going to look into that. First of all, our total is equal to one of their promises. I mean, nobody has to how them about fund it. So me want to know who stop we from fund it. Same place where them get the 200 used buses, where used cars where we not get up till this point. The same place where Daryl Vaz get the $1.4 billion for buy the BBL bus them where don't cost 300 million. The same place where them get money for pay market me because she's the minister girlfriend.
Wow.
The same place where them get money to pay off Ramsha Rock for not talk about how she was hired at Petrojam without any CXC. The same place where them get money from Fian Jones, let's buy $1 billion out of vote up on the TV. The same place where them get money to do the things that they are promising is the same place we will get money to do it.
People well want to ascribe a side to it. They've been more trying for years, especially a particular somebody who shall be unnamed. Right?
Who?
On a slogan catchy. It's catchier.
Everything we are winning.
On a slogan catchier. The time comes, it's catchier. We would have the discussion amongst ourselves and say it catchier.
Yes.
It catchier.
Our song better.
Well, we ain't say all that, Damion.
You would never say last year, that one.
Yeah, this song, the slogan. Because what song do I have to compare with this? None. You understand? Our nomination days were better. Our debates are better. Our plans are better.
We gonna get into that.
I mean, we're gonna do what we gotta do, you know?
Them have a massacre dub now. Where your dub there, Crawford?
No, man, we have unlimited dub, man. You see, all the artists, them are PNP, man. Imagine.
Well, we'll see them on the rally.
Yeah, the artists them are roll up to the a real thing.
I mean, seriously.
A real thing.
We show Bujo. We show Cartel. Them show Vegas in a real life.
Beanie.
Come on. We show Beanie. We show we show Popcorn.
Yeah. Chronicler.
Yeah. TJ they done on my place Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yakster.
Okay. Yes.
Come on. I'll QQ. Come back out of the woodwork and start show them again. We're going to take it to them. Come on. I mean.
Come on.
Chronicler. Them still stuck with Vegas. So, I mean,
I do.
Yeah. As we say that every time, me and Vegas are bridging, but as it relates to caliber of artists, I mean, we're dominating that component. So, all thing we left for win now is the 3rd of September.
I want to get into all of that.
Yeah.
Before we get to that, of course, big special welcome to our guest, friend of the show, friend of the show, regardless of politics, actual friend of the show in a real life.
Yes.
Senator Damion Crawford in the building.
Respect.
Thanks for joining us as per usual.
Yes, out of his busy schedule.
Yeah. So first of all, I have to ask you the question on the people in mind right now.
Yes.
Why is it that it looked like it did use the leftover baby oil from the Diddy case? On the debate stage right there. Why?
Well, you know, star of a shine. You understand what I'm saying?
That's all people could have talked about this. Why Damion look so shiny?
Yeah, star of a shine. You understand? Shine bright like a diamond. You know what I mean?
Damion never got to makeup. What's going on?
What happened?
The limited makeup and thing, but the lights and all of that. And then,
bright,
as a black man, when sunburn, your skin kind of start to respond. You get where I come from? So yeah, that go on. You understand?
I look and I say, no man, they man look like him just do him ear, you know, when it tight.
Yeah.
And then the product.
Just do to man. Because everybody, I'm telling you, so when I do them thing there, everybody have an opinion. Yo, you have for this, you have for that, you have for shave, because you know my thing already. Yeah. Somehow we're going all on my slippers. You get where I come from?
Yeah.
So everybody was trying to get an input and kind of listen to everybody. But yeah, the shine is, but as I said, star of a shine. So we just give them the star look. That's the star look.
The star look. But was the star nervous? No, so this not seem
was
like Damion.
Any particular pressure more than usual than before?
Yeah, I see them beat me on the internet too, because them say they look like me, they take my mad pill and then it wear off and I last. You understand me? No, let me tell you, the odds are great, you know. You get me? And if it's one thing you don't want to make a mistake, especially with the attention of the family, you don't want to make a mistake that affect the total. So sometimes when you represent yourself, it's easier because the burden is yours to bear.
Right.
But when now you have the team now, not the debate team, but PNP and the performance. And then, you know, the way I speak is more an explanatory long-term while them give you 1 minute.
Yeah.
So the time thing was a concern to me. I just kind of say, yo, me have to fit everything what me have to say in this time. You get me? But then when I say, yo, but them money over here already, I say, oh, you're not so serious. We can beat them easy. You understand?
And then you kind of
Easy, but now I say, the Caliban they are really Brazil versus St. Kitts. So I say, we never have a bit. So the first part now, me really I say, yo, I can't come. First of all, you know, the people come and expect, say, yo, the boss have a carry it, you know. I say that also create a little burden too.
Yeah, a lot of pressure.
So I say, yo, bro, I can't flap today. So the first 2 balls them never bounce the right way, and then I say, so even though we are run the place as it relates to the cuts coming out of it still, but and then my teammate them did sufficient. Because sometimes when you not play or you want to play, you get back some energy when you see a team and say, all right, cool. Me now dribble on the whole side because the team was there. So Raymond and Sophia was dealing with them perfectly.
Yeah, because I even wanted to talk about that.
Raymond ever fire. You know, no man ever fire.
That's his personality.
Yeah, man. See, and then my role now was to have the data and the information and you understand, but Raymond, I beat them like, yo, pop.
Straight fact checking.
Yeah, man, I say, yo, you what you say, me they don't understand what you say, that's all right. And it was, you know. But even on that, because they declared JLP as the winners of the social issues debate. Only JLP FM.
Only?
Yeah.
Where JLP FM? What?
Yeah, nationwide.
What's their frequency?
Okay.
Dean Jackson said we win. Emily Crook said we win. CVM said we win. Only JLP FM said.
You know what?
Well,
I did see more media houses saying that PNP won.
Yeah.
I think a repeated thing that they said was from the opposite side was Matthew Samuda
was
doing his thing.
the best from the JLP side.
You're thinking that you're part with Sir Crawford? Sorry.
No. It's like a wrong door.
Okay.
Yeah.
Matthew was firing still. Remember, can't deny that.
Yeah.
But 3-1 is 3-1. You get where I'm coming from? So,
because that's what I was going to ask you, like how you feel like your team PNP handled the debate.
Way more cohesive. Way more numbers driven. And I think that that's way more engaging. So, as I said, on the other side, two of them never show up to the competition, and by extension, the other guy had to take up the entire mantle and become dominant individually. While upon our side, we had issues that if this comes you, if that comes you, if that comes you. So there was a greater disbursement of information, and there was even some time where them show it. A man control it in his chest and show it to another man in one answer. So I remember one time Sophia said, don't Damion, he just comes up, boom, and catch it and give them 2 lick at the same time. They didn't have none of that creativity. So I think generally, and then our ideas are better, so I think that we were able to propose better things. And tonight again, I predict that we're supposed to win this one.
The other debate on it tonight as we record this.
Yeah,
but as you mentioned, time and lack thereof in getting out your responses. Some of the thought that I saw out there on social media was that you didn't answer the question about the rural school bus system effectively enough. No, you don't know, say you have time here.
Yes.
I feel like, well, this has been something that you've been, feeling very strongly about on your socials as well. So for the people them who don't know, and if you can right now, can you effectively explain what's the proposed plan to either completely replace the rural bus system right now or to improve upon it?
Same. And as I said, we had 1 minute and 40 seconds. So if you answer that time, now we have enough minutes, so we can take some minutes, right? So, all right. So the real quarrel is the objective. The objective that we identified, that is why our program is called RIDE. And by the way, the first rural school bus conversation started with Mark Golding's proposal in his budget presentation of RIDE. So theirs is a response to RIDE. The conversation seems to believe that we are responding to their school bus. You understand? But because they're able to implement as government, them have something to show that we don't have to show as opposition. So RIDE is the rural initiative for delivering education. So education was the foundation of getting the children to school some way, somehow, right? The objective that is being in the conversation is separating children from adults. But our objective was first and foremost to get them to school, because the absence from school is one of the foundation reasons why they're performing so poorly, right? So when we did the mathematics, there's three areas of conversation. The general absenteeism as 22%, rural absenteeism as 34%, and deep rural absenteeism of 55%. So the greatest negative was deep rural. Of the 190 days, they were missing up to 100 days. So we had to solve deep rural absenteeism. Now, if you're going to solve deep rural absenteeism, the problems that exist was one of two: affordability and availability. Many deep rural communities, because they're farming communities, the adults don't travel out a lot. So only the children become the source of income for the taxi driver. Additionally, there's not two-way traffic. Not many people going into the community for work. So therefore, the taxi don't see it as profitable, because he's running one route empty and the other route with only children. So some of the times that you see these overcrowded taxis is because no other taxi is going up there. So all the children are trying to catch this taxi, right? So we looked at it and said, how do we either subsidize taxis so that it become affordable for them to, profitable for them to run the route, and equally, how do we make sure those who have access to vehicles afford to come out, because them can't come out in the deep rural spaces. So when the first conversation about bus come up, we were like, this can't work, because the target group is deep rural. One, they don't have enough people for full of 50-seater coming out of the space. And two, the infrastructure don't facilitate for the BBL buses to go up there. So because we were focused only on that space as the target space, we said, yo, listen, this can't work. What we have recognized is that the collective knowledge of the total is greater than any individual. And it is clear that the people want a bus system. So now the people come and say, no, we want separation. So we have a duty now, because we can't go like we're brighter than the total. Brighter than Daryl, but the total, we're not brighter than the total. So the people now say we want a bus for whatever reason. So we say, all right, what is the best bus system that we could create? Because our first thing was how deep rural would function. So if you look at the 100 routes for St. Catherine, Linstead to Spanish Town is a route. That don't include the deep rural spaces coming to Linstead. So we now have to figure out a way using a hub and spoke system like aeroplane to carry the people to a school bus system that then carry them from that hub to another space. So what we were saying is the way that they're doing it don't solve the deep rural absenteeism problem. But the way that we were doing it don't solve the people's desire for separation. So there needs to be a combination of satisfying the people's desire for children separation and taking out the children who are being absent in the main from school. So what I was trying to explain was, in the form that it exists that don't speak to the deep rural, it can't function for the general objective of access to education. But ours, who then depend on private, don't satisfy the people's desire for separation. And so we have to find some middle ground to do that.
So what's that middle ground that
the middle ground that I am analyzing at this time is a hub and spoke system. Now, if you look on Miami, for example, airplanes use it. So Miami airport is a hub. And if you're coming to Jamaica from Michigan, it might go from Michigan to Miami, and then another one come from Ohio to Miami, and another one come from wherever to Miami, and then everybody go on the Jamaica bus, the Jamaica plane from Miami to Jamaica. So we're feeling that these hubs like Linstead, etc., Maypen, that are the hubs, you get smaller vehicles to take them out of the deep rural spaces to the hub and then carry them. Because one of the things that we must acknowledge is that Jamaica don't have zoning. In America, it's education zoning. You go to the school nearest to your yard. In Jamaica, it's school choice. So there's splintered direction because people don't have to go to the same school. In America, you can take it in this community, all of this community going to the same school. We don't have that, and we don't intend to have that, because school choice make a man can choose KC if he wants. So when you leave out of my lane, some man go KC, some man go Norman Manley, some man go Calabar, multiple directions. If it was United States, out of my lane, the whole would have got to Norman Manley, or the whole would have got to Tarrant, and so there would only be one route. So because of splintering, you would have to have small vehicles that go to separate hubs. And then when small vehicles go to those hubs, you would then move in a total, everybody from Maypen going to Garvey Massey or wherever they're going. So that is the current thing that I have. But it is the public's reaction that make me start to consider bus as a component. Because the first thing was fix absenteeism, fix the number of days these children are missing, because the cumulative nature of education causes for a person to fail if they're too often absent. The research says 20% absent is going to lead to a result as if they never go to school. So when you say 82% of Jamaicans failing 5 subjects, which is a GED. So the essence of this is that 82% of our children are not getting a GED, right? If that was in America, there would have been an uproar. So how do you fix that? Is to one, make sure that they don't have the gap of absenteeism, because those who are performing the best are getting the highest attendance in school. And those who are performing the worst are getting the least attendance in school. So that correlation caused for us to want to solve the attendance problem. And we didn't consider the separation problem, which the adults of our society seem to believe is a necessity. So now that we have acknowledged that, the adults see that as a necessity, we would have done the busting different. So the 1.4 billion spent, we would have spent that on coaster buses, for example.
Because that's what I wanted to ask. Is it that you think that is only small vehicles can go to the deep rural areas, or what's the issue with the big buses that they have? Because
for one, it would be inefficient because you don't have a lot of children coming out of it. You call these dying communities that don't have many people coming out. So you have some of these areas where it's 15, 16, 12, 2 people coming out of it to go to a particular space. So therefore, sending a 40-seater to run that space. Additionally, the number of buses wouldn't be able to incorporate all these routes. They only have 100 buses. So remember, you have a time limit that you must go to school. So between 6 and 8 is the only period that this bus have to run. You can't run 11 because school started. It would have been late. You understand me? So that's that small window, right? That bus can run more than 1 trip, maybe 2 trips in a route. So with the splintering of communities and also the multiplicity of directions, you'd have to have a bus that got multiple routes. You have to have nearly 50 times the buses that they have. What people must recognize is that the 100 buses average 48 seats. So you have 4,800 seats. The total number of students is 440,000 students. So this is almost 1% of the total students. So that means that 99% still have to go do the negatives of what people are afraid of. So while people are celebrating the concept of separation, the real materiality of it is not sufficient to satisfy that perception, that desire. You understand? So what we will see with immediacy is that the bus will have 400 people fighting to go into 40 seats as is. You get where I come from? Because it don't satisfy that. No.
Wouldn't that be the same with the coasters though?
Well, that is what I'm saying. Now that we see say people want bus. We'd have to know, say, all right, how much coasters is reasonable? All of them think that to move forward. But
because with my simple math brain of a cut you, the bus them have more seat than the coaster.
Yes, one bus would have had more seat than coasters.
Yes.
So the benefit of a coaster is not the number of seats, is the newness of it. It would have been a 2026. Is the parts available? Is the downtime? It would have less downtime, and also is the experience of drivers. So one of the risks that we face is that our drivers don't know to drive this bus. Nobody have the years of experience in this bus. It's on the wrong side. Is left-hand drive or right-hand drive, whatever it is. The size of the bus is different. So the level of experience with coasters, you'll be able to get persons with greater experience of control and understanding than this bus. But the newness of the coaster, the fitting of the terrain, the availability of parts, the mechanics being experienced, all of that will reduce downtime. But then we'd have to say, how much seats do we need? Do we need 100,000 seats? Do we need 150,000 seats? Currently we have 4,800 seats. So therefore, the design of it, while it would use a coaster, wouldn't necessarily use 100 coaster. You understand what I'm saying? So that is what we'd have to now analyze and look at. So in context, we just feel that the efficiency, the method of it isn't the right way that they're doing it. While it might be the right thing to do based on the public's opinion and the public's desire. And that is what our duty is to serve the public. So me can't just impose my opinion and say, yo, anyway them forget the school,
True.
Because the public have accepted that there's dangers to adult-children interaction.
True.
And by extension, they want that adult-student interaction to reduce.
Which is why the concept of these buses were praised upon.
That is why it's praised. That is why it's praised. So me now have to just say, all right, me see one answer people.
And people that say a bad mind and say, oh, you have to cost this when this seems such a good idea. But your thing is that the idea is great, but the execution
is wrong.
Okay.
And it don't satisfy the problem. So we'll see that when it is only satisfying 1% of the students. We will see that when you go see a fight for get into the bus. We will see that when is who get in, and it have nothing to do with the poorest getting that blind. You understand what I'm saying? So when we say we're going to go to the vice principal, the guidance counselor, for choose who benefit, because they would know who's missing school. They would know the circumstances of the people. So when the guidance counselor said, these are the people missing school, and we send our social worker into those communities, why are they missing school? It could be illness. Why are they missing school? It could be a parent were not interested. Why are they missing school? It could be lunch money. But if the reason is transportation, then we intervene to satisfy that. So this targeted approach that we had would have ensured that those who are missing school come to school. The non-targeted approach is who catch the bus. And by extension, we think that that is a deficiency in the system as it exists. So always saying, and I hear them saying, like one of these politicians saying, God no like bad mind and God no like ugly. God no like criminal neither to still. So therefore, I think God will like some of us better than those.
Criminal.
You know, some people just take this as you just trying to undermine the government and its efforts, you know, because they're like, at least the feeling and the understanding that I got from this whole rollout was that this is something that they're phasing in, and eventually the buses will be new. So even like we've seen a couple of them break down and everything. I feel like it's just like a quote unquote testing phase.
Let us look at it, right? Because when you're building a nation, it's different from when you're building a narrative. When you're building a narrative, it's post-action, right? Yes, I for you. So watch me now. You are going to decide on buses. Would the average person decide to buy a 15-year-old bus? The average person would have preferred a new bus. All right. Newer. So therefore, if you come and look on the internet and see that these buses are for 4,000, but somehow to us it was 20,000, you start to wonder, why is that so? Then now you find out, instead of put out a bid for people to say, yo, we want buses, can you find buses, and then put in a bid and we analyze your bid, you go to one man and him decides that him going to sell it this bus, and you choose this bus. You could have buy a bus from China, you could have buy a bus from anywhere, you could have buy some JUTC buses. Nothing stopped you from considering other buses. You could have gone on a Toyota Jamaica. You decided to buy these buses. Now, having decided to buy these buses, the invoices said that it's $300 million for the buses in totality. But somehow your budget is $1.4 billion. Now you're going to tell us that is to fix the buses. Now, why would you buy a bus with the bus on the door on the wrong side and then choose to retrofit it and put it on the other side? So all I'm looking at is to say, okay, so even if you buy a bus, why this bus? And why this sound like some corruption there's somewhere in it? Because nowhere in the world could these buses cost $1.4 billion. So that is the different side of it. Now, again, if you look at my history, I'm willing to say I'm doing okay if I'm doing okay. I rewarded Edward George Siaga for heart. Carry Gardiner as a PNP YO president. Because heart is an excellent thing. We can't knock that. Because you don't have to get zero to fail. So it's not like you have to say, no, jail be do nothing if you say them fail. I've had students who get 20% and 50% is a pass mark. So therefore, they can do something that I'm saying, this is the right thing to do. It is my opinion that the chief problem to solve is getting to school. That's my opinion. It is a public opinion that a further and equal problem to solve is separating the students. The JLP's performance to this point has failed in doing that. In 2015, JUTC carried 100,000 children. Currently, it's carrying 5,000 children because they have 100 less buses. So therefore, more students are taking private transport in the urban space because of their management of JUTC. You understand? So this entity will lose $18 billion. You have to say, but you save $1 billion on gas. So you save $1 billion on gas, but you lose $18 billion overall. That means you're still short $17 billion. Now, you are going to put this bus into operation. You don't talk about driver costs. You don't talk about gas costs. You don't talk about parts. So I have to look into this whole thing. So I am not unwilling to say, JLP is doing something if I think they're doing something. I just felt that the deep rural community wasn't satisfactorily served by this particular system. And because it's not satisfactorily served by the particular system, then the 55% absenteeism would continue. And if that continue, then we'll continue to have 65% literacy.
Has there been any great consideration given to improvement of the roads? Because I feel like that's an unspoken
You see, one of the number one reasons for road investment is number of people served. And this is a very catch-22 situation for these communities because people keep moving out because the infrastructure not there.
Yeah.
And then because of the little bit of people, the infrastructure don't seem to be a value for money spent. So sometimes when you sit down with a little bit of money and you say, I have $10 million, where should I fix? Should I fix the area that goes for 7 people, or should I fix the area that goes for 500 people? And oftentimes you choose the area that goes for 500 people. So some of the times infrastructure development is delayed for dying communities, right? Then a lot of times it is also a whole heap of road because of where the community exists. And enough time nobody has not lived on the route to it because it have precipice and all them up on the two side. So there's a consideration to be made. Now, remember, primary schools are close to home, but high schools are not necessarily close to home. So we have almost 7 times more primary school than high school. This is because it is a law and the Constitution that you must have access to primary education. The Constitution don't guarantee access to secondary education. So because of the guarantee of access, they make it almost a walking distance for every community to a primary school. So you'll have primary school, you'll have 19 picnic, 30 picnic. Now, when them get into high school now, it becomes a difficulty. That's why you're seeing a greater level of dropouts by 9th grade because of the cost of traveling and because of the food and all that. So knowing that, you have to seek a way to solve it, because you see, a child up to 18 is a problem of education, but after 18 is a problem of the nation. It become a health problem, it become a housing problem, it become a violence problem if he doesn't benefit from education. So as the education level, how do I make sure that just by the unfortunate space of birth, you are not robbed an opportunity to go to school? How do I ensure, because the greatest injustice is to punish a child for his parents' decisions. That's the greatest injustice. So when I'm gonna say, so when parents are, okay, so if a parent is disabled, why should he be robbed of an opportunity? If a parent have a stroke and become left side can't move, can't work. If a parent have diabetes and can't see, why should he be robbed of that? If a parent just poor, remember that we have almost 600,000 Jamaicans living on less than $200 a day. So if he live on less than $200 a day, where am I going to find $1,000 for you to come to school? How do we change the circumstance of his child? And that would mean that if he can get food at school and if he can reach a school through government intervention. And if we don't do that, then who should be a doctor end up work a wholesale? If we don't do that, who should be an engineer end up digging ground? So we feel that we must get away, and we thought that the best and most efficient way was to directly target that group and carry that group to school. The public have a different opinion of what a transportation system should mean, and them think separation is important. So as a servant of the people, me have to go back to the drawing board to say, how do I then get separation? But my first thing is how do I get the picnic to school? And I still think that is necessary.
Speaking of, you said that the JLP has sacrificed the children of Jamaica.
Yes.
Right? And that their best interests aren't being served.
Yes.
Or prioritized, if you will. I want to know from you, what's your party's plan to make changes? What's the plan to improve upon these things?
Yes. But first of all, I want to make it known that is an objective measure I work off and not a subjective measure, because I'm biased, I'm PNP. So because of that bias, subjectivity must be discounted. So I'm going to have to look on why you say that. What's the objective measure? In 2015, literacy at the 4th grade level was 84%. It's now 65%. So that means that literacy at the 4th grade level during the JLP's tenure has dropped 20%. That is almost 7,000 less children per year. So if 7,000 less children per year is proven literate, then you know that is a problem, right? So that is one basis of sacrifice. In 2015, mathematics passes was 14,700. In 2025, mathematics passes is 7,826. That means mathematics passes have cut almost in half. That's 7,000 less persons. If we give JLP another chance at the wicket for 5 years, if this continues, it will be 35,000 less people passing mathematics. 5 subjects, including maths and English. That's the way that you matriculate to university. In 2015, it was 28%. It is currently 19%. So therefore, almost 7,000 less people are 3,000 less, matriculating to university.
Not to cut you, but don't you think that COVID should be taken into consideration? Right. The education system, in a sense, was cut at the knees?
Yes. So, so they would say COVID. Now, the group that is doing 4th grade literacy now would have been in basic school at that time. So therefore, in 4 years, we have not recovered. Why have we not recovered? UNICEF indicated that Jamaica needed to invest $4 billion per year for 2 years to recover from what is called learning loss. So when they say COVID, you're saying there's learning loss. The government only put in $1 billion out of that $8 billion that was told. Yet the government have put $40 billion in something else. This year alone, them put $1 billion for buy vote and that thing what them call name Operation whatever it want to name Solidarity. But I've never seen a prime minister buy vote on TV. Politicians always hide and buy vote. I see the man come brawling on TV and say, yo, yeah man, 50,000 people I get $20,000. We'll just roll in and then all of a sudden it distribute the 2 days before him call the election. So instead of spending that money on the children and the recovery of learning, that's a decision of government. So yes, COVID would have created a problem to be solved and the solution was not satisfied. Now there are other countries which have shown a dramatic turnaround in that outcome. Our country did not because we didn't do the investment. Many people don't know that since 2017, the government has not increased the allocation per child to school since 2017. So it is still $17,000 per year for a child in school. So all of those things have culminated in my analysis to say they have sacrificed our children. When it comes to school feeding as well, and there's some numbers that the government put out. If you combine them with other numbers, you will see a fallacy in it. So for example, they say unemployment is now 3%. Right? If unemployment is 3%, which is a Jamaican measure, there's an international measure, not a PNP measure, called the Food and Agricultural Organization, FAO, that says 56% of Jamaicans have food insecurity, which means them can't buy food. Now, if 3% of people are unemployed, which means that everybody is quote unquote employed, how is it that 3% are unemployed, but 56% can't buy food? That would suggest that the 3%, most of who are employed can't afford food. That wouldn't be a logical premise to assume. When you look deeper into the unemployment numbers, you will recognize that 670,000 Jamaicans stop look work, and that isn't part of the calculation. So if you have 100 people and 60 people now look no work, the calculation of unemployment is only based on the 40 people because those are not looking work. They have surrendered. You understand? So you have 670,000 that have surrendered. Then the measure of unemployment now include a man who work for 1 hour a week. 1 day hour. So you're going to go there to the youth and we wipe the clear glass, which I was one of them recently, and then say that they're employed
recently.
Because, yes, you never see me out there wipe some kind. Yes. So the reality is that the measures and the celebration is not being felt in the belly or in the pocket. The prosperity is only in the book. So what we said now, listen, if food is a problem, how are you giving $180 a day? When the international standard is that you must provide 33% of calorie to anybody that you're assisting in school. So 33% of the needs, the food, nutritional needs of the student must be provided at school if you're doing an effective school feeding program. $180 can't provide that. So what they have done since them only do $180 is to have a line of segregation, almost as in, you remember in America when they had apartheid and they said no blacks, no dogs, no whatever in this thing. So you have a path line that the children of a giant to get them white rice and chicken foot, right? It is the first time I've seen rice and pea, which is a singular peas in the rice. Are you understanding what I'm saying? So therefore,
Mr. Crawford.
No, it's the first time I've seen it, right? And that thing about English and plurality, I want Dalvas to stop calling me goat man, because goat man is singular. It mean I have one goat. He has to call me goats man because I have enough goat. You can't little down the thing and call me a singular.
By the way, after this, we have a farming conversation.
Yeah. Right. Enough you may inspire. So what I'm saying now is that we have decided, listen, 180 is not sufficient. So we are going to do 400. And that 400 can do the 33% caloric intake. So you're not just doing something for doing its sake. Additionally, you can't only give part children because they're children on the fringe of path that don't have the ability to eat either. You know how you qualify for part? If you don't have a pit toilet, you don't qualify. If you have a TV, you don't qualify. So if you have any form of ability to keep a look around rabbit and buy a toilet because you don't want roach crawl upon you when you got enough of them to know about pit toilet. But we know when you have a light newspaper for run with roach before you use it. You understand? So if you just have that intent, you automatically disqualify. So based on the same FAO, that's a 56% of food insecurity. So we say 56% of students then have food insecurity. So we're going to feed 242,000 children. They said they're going to feed 180,000 children. So all of those things that we look at, we say, you are not making sufficient moves to prioritize the most dependent, which are our children. And that is why I said that they have sacrificed our children.
Wow. I wanted to touch on the education crisis because I know that you're passionate about this.
Yes.
You made a start promise recently that I will fix it or die.
Yeah.
And there's genuine need for reform for the education system. We saw recently with the Pembroke Hall grade 7 students, 70% with the issue with reading, with literacy issues. How can we go about fixing this?
First of all, there are multiple what you call gaps. So the achievement gap is the reality that we do have people who are doing well and we have people who are doing poorly. So that means that there is something intervening between those who are doing well and those who are doing poorly. Because I still have Campion, then I still have Holy Trinity. You understand what I'm saying? So what is the reason why Campion is performing as Campion and what's the reason why Holy Trinity is not performing as Campion?
Right.
So the research shows that these are gaps that exist. See? So the performance gaps include one, attendance gap. Those who attend school more will get better grades than those who attend school less. So one thing the government have to fix is the attendance gap. So that is why we were fighting with the right thing. So you have to fix the attendance gap. You have to make those who are not going to school, go to school. Another thing is the early exposure gap. So the early exposure gap is who go to school early as versus who go to school late. You understand? So those who go to school earlier, they have often had a greater opportunity.
I mean, when you say earlier, what do you mean? In regards to age?
When they're little, yeah.
Okay.
All right. So the brain function, the first 1,000 days is where 80% of the brain function evolves. And as I've said every single time I talk about that, the first time I heard about it was from Roel Reed. So Roel Reed is the first person introduced to me brain builders, that period between 0 and 3, that 80% of the function of the brain, how the brain function developed. And he came up with an idea called a brain builder center, that he was going to build out centers as infant school. So it's not that he was a fool, but the thiefness, they kind of get him out. So when I heard that, it immediately lodged in my mind that our school intervention start at 3. But the first 1,000 days is how your brain develop. So if you look at the first 1,000 days, it's before 3, since each year is 365 days. So therefore, when we start to intervene, seemingly it's too late.
Right.
Not from a learning to read, but from a function of the brain, inquisitive, creative brain function. So what the PNP says, how are we going to then reduce the gap of early exposure? And one way to reduce the gap of early exposure is to partner with the churches to get the spaces. Because one of the things that broke Roel Reed foot, other than the thieving, is that the cost of the spaces would have been a negative to build out all these spaces.
Right.
So we come said boom and show our creativity and said there's unused spaces midweek called churches. Them really utilize the space Saturdays and Sunday. And they are disposed to education participation from long time.
Yeah.
Now for the best schools are church schools. So we link up the churches and say, yo, would you be willing to offer your church hall? Because one day in every community, church and bar is the most prevalent within the society.
And KFC.
And KFC. Well, KFC not as splintered, but the usage. See? And gambling is now getting
Church
there
and
too.
bar
right?
for real.
But church and bar is in every community. So if we can get the church hall within the community and then now do the brain building function, as in how your brain operates before even basic school. Now, a unintended benefit is the reintroduction of the parent into the workforce, because a lot of women having to provide their own childcare can't go back into the workforce until the child starts to go to some form of school. And if they can't pay for childcare, then they have to just come out of the workforce. Now imagine if you're too poor to pay for childcare, but you can't go work, then now you start having nutritional problems, all of them things, and then that also become a negative because the child brain would be needing the food and the nutrients which you cannot buy. Everybody pre where may I come from? Out here? All right, cool. So the first thing that we say is we're going to partner with the churches and then create this kind of this syllabus for brain building, right? And additionally, we're going to use technology to create a free to access app that tells you daily what you should be doing with your child based on the day of birth. So when the child reach 9 days, what you should be looking for, how you should be doing it, what are the brain functions.
Right.
So when them reach 1.5 years, what you should be doing on day 3 and day 5. So what you want to do is when you go into the app, it says you should make them play with stone to learn big from small. Focus on that. So for example, my daughter, and these apps exist, by the way, it's just not free. So the unfortunate thing is those who can pay. So my daughter, when we go up the step, we count. When we come down the step, we count. So right now she can count to 20 with ease. Because every time we go up the step, 1, 2, 3, 4,
You make
5.
it a game.
So it becomes something. Now these are things of making brain function. So as I said today, she said, Daddy, what are you doing? May I sleep before I come? She said, Daddy, what are you doing? Say, may I sleep? It's not dark. This is 2-year-old. I start to say, yo, yeah, brain our work. I shall calculate up this right, this wrong. Are you understanding what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we have give the people this app because we believe that is not worthlessness meant them not do it. It's lack of knowledge. You understand?
But stick up in, can they do this without the app? Like,
well, they don't have the information, but it don't have no cost. We have made the app free.
but suppose them not have no device for the app.
Oh, well, now they kind of look, we would have to go on internet. We don't know where we work out. They look last portion, they will not have a phone. But most of the people have access to phones. You understand? So once you have access to phones, you can download it. And if you don't need data, right, then it's not at a cost. So that then start to make you now become a homeschool content for the child. So when them say water, then them say rain. So each data tell you, use these words. This, that. So for example, I've learned from our app where we have that when I'm going out, don't change. When she say, where you going, daddy? You don't change it every day. Oh, I'm going to church. You don't say I'm going on the road. Because at this time, her capacity to understand multiple different things is a confusion. Where you going, daddy? I'm going to work. Where you going, daddy? I'm going to a meeting. Where you going, daddy? I'm going to an interview. She start to get confused. Oh, yeah, I'm going on the road.
Yes.
Eventually, it'll reach to where you start to differentiate what means going on the road. So therefore, the brain functioning is the first component. We have to fix that.
Right.
The other gap that you recognize, and then we have to fix the basic school as well. And one of the ways to fix the basic school with technology is to make it become a force multiplier. How it becomes a force multiplier? A excellent teacher can now write our lesson plans, and then that lesson plan then AI assist the person. So what you do is to get the excellent teachers to train the AI modules. You get where I come from? And then the person go into the AI module and say, I have this student XYZ. Then we have to go to literacy. What we recognize is that the school structure is a 3-6-3-2 structure, which means that you have 3 basic school, then you have 6 primary school, then you have 3 lower high school, and then you have 2 upper high school. Right? So to 9th grade is what you call a lower high school or lower secondary.
Okay.
We feel that you need a 3-4-2-3-2 system, which means that primary school
All
should
I'm
have
seeing is football formation.
Yeah. Right. So some of these things are just logic, right? So primary school should have a lower primary and an upper primary, because the first function of primary school should be literacy. The total function of primary school now is roundedness. So even in a 1 grade, you might do a whole heap of different things. You understand? We feel, say, from 1 to 4 grade, the focus should be literacy, numeracy, English as a second language, and creativity. So from 1 to 4 grade, that's that them supposed to deal with. Now, literacy is different from reading, because identifying the word don't mean comprehension.
Yes, understand.
The literacy need a comprehension component. So a lot of kids who they say are not literate have word identification. They just don't have comprehension. So they can see the cat is on the mat. Yeah. All right. Then you see the mat is on the cat and him not seeing a problem with that. Him not become inquisitive. Why is the mat on the cat? Isn't that killing the cat? Him not become, because him really just identify words. You hear me come from? So we feel that, first of all, the language of first exposure is not English in Jamaica. The language of first exposure is normally patois for the average person. So one of the things within the syntax of patois is that we don't say very. We just repeat the word. How big, big, big. How far, far, far. So very far is far, far. So you have to now teach that child how to transition from what the brain says is far, far to the concept of very, in the same way that it would have been for Spanish or French or whatever. So we feel that intervention of having a trained teacher for lower primary whose capacity is literacy, that, because a pretty person currently can teach from 1 to 6th grade because we just have a primary education and not a lower primary education. So we think we need to fix that. Because you have children now in the secondary school, you have the homework gap, which is send no my 11th grade picnic to a 9th grade dropout mother and tell him to do homework. That mother can't assist him. Sending home this child to a non-adult household because the adult don't reach home till 7 o'clock and expects them to volunteer for the homework. So that now becomes another problem. So what we say is we will then pay teachers to create homework, after school homework centers, so that we can reduce the homework gap. Because when my youth come on my yard, I have a son now, I'm 15. I really my stepson, but you know, if you love the cow, you love the calf, so I'm a son. So by extension. So this local brethren now, we get physics teacher to come our yard, come teach him direct. He's at a great advantage versus our next local youth to try the physics.
That's true.
You understand what I'm saying? So what we have recognized, who pass maths, who pass bio, who pass physics, they're going to extra classes. All these campions where you see, them have multiple hours of extra exposure. So those who can afford it are getting extra exposure and are performing. So those who can't afford it, we as the government now must intervene, because the cost of him not getting these subjects is greater than the investment that we would make.
Yeah.
Are you understanding what I'm saying? So when we do the maths now, we say, all right, it is cheaper for us as a society to pay for this intervention on a Monday and on a Wednesday for homework and for remedial effort. Why remedial effort? Because if you don't understand fraction, why would you move on to decimal before you teach him back fraction? So if you don't understand fraction, come this evening, come work it out. Come this weekend, come work it out. So that when we come back Monday for the decimal, this child is ready to move on to decimal. Are you understanding what I'm saying?
So it would be something different from extra lessons like what they usually have in the
Well, it's just government
schools?
funded extra lessons now. So what we have is private funded extra lessons. The parent can't pay, it don't happen.
Okay.
And some teachers who are kind enough to take who can pay are then being unfairly treated, cannot get no remuneration. So we are saying, yo, listen, if you're willing to stay back with these children and assist us, if you're a retired teacher and you're willing to come in the evening, if you're a university graduate and have no work yet, we will give you a stipend, some payment for you to intervene and get into that. Are you understanding what I'm saying? Cool. So at that level now, each week, we're making sure you dominate the week. We now wait till the end of the year and then say, oh my God, him failed the year. Because if you dominate each week, you get me? Then you're actually moving forward. So we want to do that. So those things combined now, we see said, there's also a teacher availability gap. You know what happens when the United States take a teacher from Campion? Campion go across the road and take the teacher from Mona. Because the teacher from Mona, no, that is an easier route to teach at Campion. Children have higher grades, parents are more supportive, the school have more resources. When US comes and say, yo, teacher of maths from KC, come, KC go over Holy Trinity and take their teacher. And so the people who are left with the bag are the poorest people. So we now have to become competitive for our teachers to stay. Because as our teachers leave, it becomes a problem for our children. Every teacher that is absent impacts 160 children. Because at a secondary level, the teacher will teach 4 streams of 40. First can't do the maths there because he have to lick him chest after 9 and reach 10. So I have this 160. So what we have recognized is if one teacher gone, 160 children are affected. You have children doing CXC math this year that didn't have a math teacher from third form. And it was the PE teacher that stayed in the class to create basically discipline. Don't mash up the school, don't whatever. So we have to fight to keep our teachers. And to fight to keep our teachers, we have proposed a teacher retention plan. One, we'll give them a higher mortgage from NHT. And once they stay in the classroom, you maintain the NHT, the second component. You leave the classroom, it become a regular mortgage and you have to pay the higher interest rate. So that's an inducement to stay. We're giving them a graduating concession. When you reach 5 years, you get a lower concession. You reach 10 years, you get a bigger concession. So therefore, that's a reason for stay. You come and say, yo, we'll forgive each year of your student loan. So if you work in the public sector for 1 year, that year student loan is gone. 2 years, another year student loan is gone. If it's a 15 year, you work for 15 years, you know about paying a student loan. No, a man say, no, the Andrew, right? Cravenness of his, which is Andrew, right? So he says
that's our first
new name.
So he says it's unfair to give teachers and don't give everybody else. All right, what we will pay for the teacher's student loan, maybe $200,000 for the year. Is it unreasonable to spend $200,000 to satisfy 160 students? That's almost $1,500 per student. Is it unfair to give a student an opportunity for the government to invest this money, or if it does lower and make sure go on? Are you understanding what I'm saying? And there's different things for different people, because teachers don't get overtime, and we say we remove tax on overtime. So that will benefit nurse and police, but it won't benefit teacher. They don't get overtime. So within a government, everything not go for everybody. It is a total sum that you must consider. Then we say the internet is a tool of trade. So the teacher need knowledge, information to give knowledge. So the access to information is now through the internet. So we will provide the internet for free for the teacher. We are hoping that when we do these things, Jamaica become competitive for the teacher. A story that I can tell you of my experience. The newspaper carried that Calabar had 97 or 95% passes in English. I'm like, yo, boys school, 98%. I need to talk to this teacher. Call the teacher. Right. So I call the teacher now. Yes, a KC man, yeah. So I call the teacher. Part of it, I try to teach the teacher to carry go down to my constituency. So I call the teacher, say, yo, you know what, come down you attend what we can do, you know what I mean? We find our rent for the house fee and whatever. Come you want my pitting them bright too down on one part. In the middle of the conversation, the teacher say, yo, I have to call about Mr. Crawford, I'm going to call a taxi. This teacher does get 97% passes. And I have to call a taxi for reach a school.
Yeah.
So what you have to know is to create in a fear mind a consideration for fly out, Because she feels, say, yo, what kind of life may I live in my car and get a car? That becomes one of the things that a man feels that this is a evidence of progress. You understand what I'm saying? So we have to put a system to keep this lady here who's getting 97% because there are people coming down here offering her all kind of relocation grants and she can bring up her family. So we must be competitive for she stay.
Exactly.
You understand what I'm saying? And pass on the knowledge to other teachers and become a master teacher in English. The lady says she have to go take a taxi, she have to call me back. So when the conversation finishes in a taxi, this teacher there tell me about this conversation. So we said, no, we have to put in some way. One way is a concession that you cannot pay as much taxes to get a car. You get me? So when we put these things of removing the homework gap, removing the attendance gap, removing the nutrition gap with the $400, removing the early exposure gap, you will see a transformation in education. You get where I come from?
Yeah.
What have they removed? Remove the money from the government coffers. That's all that they have.
As you mentioned, tax.
Remember
right?
them rap bun and milk. I could just put that. Don't forget that Nutri products had a thievery by Jamaican Labour Party people. Take over $20 million from Nutri products.
Wait.
Yeah, you can Google it. You don't have to believe me. Believe Google.
Well, I think I would say like at least if the PNP should come to power, JLP members shouldn't worry about security. They should worry about jail.
The judge.
One by one, they might go to jail.
Yes.
You really and truly believe so?
Well, you have 10 of them under investigation for illicit enrichment. That is the same thing when I'm doing to scammers. Meaning they got rich off a negative activity. In this case, thieving government resources. So I start to study English because I know I'm a maths man.
Yeah.
I start to study English because I know some pronunciations them have uptight. And I realize that there are some words that sound alike. So when the Prime Minister says get rich off a taxi, T-A-X-I, maybe it's here we never hear, it's taxes, T-A-X-E-S. We have to kind of figure that out. I mean, I know which one it is, but from an English standpoint, I wonder if it is, I understand those word sounds. So the general reality is none of the interventions necessary, nor the acceptance. This is where the JLP fails compared to us. The acceptance that is in crisis. The recent minister suggested that education has recovered and we are on the right track in mathematics. She tried to use numbers to lie because she thought I was busy, but I wasn't busy at the time. So what they said is that 9 more children pass maths. You hear me say? 9 dege more children pass maths. So in 2024, 7,816 and 19 pass maths. And in 2025, 7,826 pass maths. So 9 more children pass maths. So in this additional 9, this is out of nearly 20-something thousand that fail, right? So 9 more pass. And the lady said, we are recovering and we're on track. How did she get that mathematics? By entering less children. So 2,000 less children entered maths this year. Is the lowest number of students entered for mathematics exam in the last decade. You understand me? Of that, 2,000 nobody show up same way. So the rest of them were sat it. Was even less than were entered. You understand me? So all the results shows that we're going backwards. If you don't accept that and say, yo, genuine people, we are go backwards and we are try to fix it and we are work on it. But come and start to say, we're celebratory because it has recovered. Then you're not going to fix the problem.
I wanted to talk about the or expound on the rent to own program because I heard Raymond Price, he brought it up in the debate, but he didn't get to talk much about it. So I wanted more information on it.
All right. So housing is a problem in Jamaica.
Definite problem.
And one of the major issues that I have is when we call people squatters. How can I be a squatter in the only country where can deport me? Every other country Jamaica can send me to my yard. Jamaica can't send me go nowhere. You understand? The most they can send me is to jail. But I have to still be here. You can't deport me. So the only place we can deport a human being, said the human being have no space or no ownership. Are you understanding what I'm saying? Now, in mathematics, there's a concept called vectors. And vectors say that there's not only a distance, there's a direction. If I already there, I should have said she don't know no maths.
Yeah.
But
That's a lot of
We're
not much better.
Ari is the most proud non-maths person I've ever met.
Yes.
Don't play that, right? so watch me. The assumption of the public is that the direction is if you own something, you're rich. Or sorry, if you're rich, you own something. So by extension, it starts at rich and then you own something. But the reality is that if you own something, you're rich. That's why the PNP has always been committed to ownership. Because if you can create ownership, you create wealth. Are you understanding what I'm saying? So most who own something, inherit land, whatever, and then they became wealthy. Get where I come from? So where NHT, Operation Pride, Land for the Landless have always been an effort to create. One of the ways that we're going to solve housing is to make ownership of land be easier. And so one of the laws that we had since 1838, when the slavery was going to end, that's an important year, right? When slavery was going to end, the white individuals who had control of Jamaica's governance. So we can't make these black people come own the land. So they put a thing called adverse possession for 60 years. You couldn't get the government land unless you live on it for 60 years. The expected life expectancy at that time was 57 years. So you're supposed to dead.
So you're still not
you not go on it. You understand? So them put a time that was so improbable.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can't remember healthcare and all them things they improve now. Them time they get all that scrape and you're just dead, you know. You understand?
Yeah.
So these people don't put that system in place that you'll never be able to own land. What the PNP said, the first thing we're going to do is to change that 60 years to 25 years. So quite a few people who are now on quote-unquote government squatting land would immediately be grandfathered into ownership because 25 years would have passed for most of them. Now, you have some young people who say, I don't want to live here because it's not the most desirable lots that are available for squatting. However, if your parents own this land and dead left it gear, you can sell it. And use that $7 million as an investment to go buy the next land. Or you can rent it and use whatever rent you're getting to subsidize your mortgage. So that ownership transforms life. That's the first. The second is the availability of housing. So there's no increased access if it is not available. And the lack of availability through demand and supply cause for the cost to be high. So one of the ways to reduce costs is to increase supply. You understand what I'm saying? So if you have 10 things 100 people want it, that will beat up the prices. As you make the 10 thing become 100, then 1-to-1 carry down the prices. Good? So we have to build more houses. The PNP say, all right, we are going to build 50,000 more houses. But not only are we going to build these houses, we're going to splinter it to ensure each area gets some. So every constituency will get 500. Because one of the negatives of concentrating construction is urban migration. So when you build all of the houses in Kingston and Portmore and Olaba, people start to move towards that space, getting it overcrowded, traffic, all of them things that become a problem. School and all of that. So we are going to build that 500. So we are going to increase the number of houses. Then now, having done that, we have to say, how do we make sure people get access to houses, which is where the rent to own come in. So there's two reasons why we came up with rent to own. There's a whole section of Jamaica that don't have a pay slip, which is a number one requirement for a mortgage. You have a carrying 3 pay slip. So enough people who do entertainment, enough people who do barbering, enough people that is in the informal and do them own hustling, farming, enough people who do vending, they don't have a pay slip. So by extension, they're disqualified from access to a mortgage. We say, what is the reason for the pay slip? The reason for the pay slip is proof of affordability. You prove that you can afford it. Good. Now we say if you rent this for 6 months, that is equal proof that you can afford it. You paid the mortgage in the form of a rent. But we couldn't make it a mortgage before we have proof. So that a rental scheme is to where you prove that you can afford it. See? So you pay the rent. When you pay the rent, if you pay for 6 months, isn't that greater proof than if you show a salary slip? Are you understanding what I'm saying?
I get it time for somebody like me. This makes a lot of sense.
All right. Most times it makes sense. Maybe one look at 10%
most
at
times.
Most times.
It's not just gimmicks, right?
Right. Them try to style that, but them not run for thief me idea. You understand what I'm saying? Everything me say then thief. More time them in my yard of people show me gate. So watch me now. So when we look at this thing now, we're saying, these people that don't have that will rent. But because the government is not a profit-seeking entity, after your 6 months, 3 months goes towards your down payment. So therefore, half of what you have paid in rent goes in your down payment. Because we're not a profit-seeking entity, we're a service entity. Now, that down payment now, it transitions into a mortgage. So therefore, the same money they pay for rent no longer serves as a rent, is a mortgage. So that is the first person that it targets. The second person is a person that is caught in the spiral of rent because them can't save because of rent. So this person have a $200,000 a month. Of that, because they don't want to live any and everywhere or whatever, them afraid and whatever, them go in an apartment for 100,000. Then them have to pay them car note for 25,000.
Supermarket.
Them now eventually have to go supermarket for 140,000. Them still have to go back to work. And then them mother I forget one little thing because she have diabetes. Then them little sister still in a high school. So by the time mid-month, she start to beg somebody for 10 grand because she broke. That person will never get into owning a home because that 100,000 keep a drain them into somebody else's mortgage. Are you understanding?
Yeah.
So the rich man buy a house and rent it and then you pay his mortgage. By the time you done paying his mortgage, he has a house with the total value of the house that he never contributed to, kind of collect from you as a renter.
And you're left with
nothing. You're
nothing.
left with nothing. Now, what's the negative of rental for the rest of your life? At some point, you stop earning. You see, mortgage ends at retirement. So when you retire, you no longer have the cost of shelter because the mortgage ends. When you're renting, you still have the cost of shelter, but you don't have no income. So old people now become strained by the cost of shelter when it's a rent, as versus become relieved of the cost of shelter. Well, it's a mortgage. Are you understand what I'm saying? Equally, you cannot build family wealth by passing on your rental to your picnic. But you build family wealth by passing on your ownership to your child. He not have to live there. He can choose what he wants to do. So we said, this person will pay this 100,000, come to us and pay the 100,000 for 6 months. And then it transform into a mortgage. So not only the man who don't have a pay slip, who have a pay slip, but is being stuck in the spiral of paying for somebody else's house.
Right.
Come and pay for your government house. And then you transition into a mortgage. So those two people come under the rent to own. You pre where I come from?
Okay.
And so that was, then me and Andrew said, him did I think of it when?
Well, one thing that they did think of was 1.5 million in the tax income threshold. And that was something that the PNP was saying, no, that's not possible. And now we're hearing talks of, if we are in power, it will be 3.5 million. A lot of people are calling BS on this and say this is a fantastical figure that will eventually bankrupt the nation.
All right, so I'm going to look into
Mr.
that.
Matsman, what do you say to this?
I'm going to look into that. First of all, like a relationship, policy is a construct of time and space. So you see, when you come and look at like your husband, you're married, right? Good. So your husband, you're at a particular place.
Check out for real.
A particular place
Yes.
at a particular time, and you met him, and you were both single, and it worked out. I don't know if you were both single, because I talk people business. But I'm just saying,
Plot twist.
But whatever was in reality, that time and that place was the right time.
Yes.
Good. Now, if it was at the wrong time or the wrong place, maybe if you never got that event, you would have seen. So that's how relationships evolve. So too policy. At this time, what's the reality? In 2016, was it 2016? When the JLP came with their 1.5, the country was just coming out of a very difficult period.
Right.
Now, not only did they say 1.5, they say with no new taxes. At that time, we say, you can't do it without new taxes. Because they're saying they're going to build a car with square wheel. And we say, no, you have to have round wheel. And then they build a car with round wheel and say, me tell us they're going to build a car. So they keep on saying, but we did the 1.5, but they introduced new taxes. The first year of the JLP government, they introduced a raft of taxes to satisfy the 1.5. Okay. Now the country has evolved to where we are capable to afford different things because the PNP set fiscal policy rules that had to carry debt to GDP down to 62%. So at the time, debt to GDP was, I think, 80%. So we couldn't afford it at that time. Now that we're here, we see two proposals on the table. The first proposal is the JLP that says they're going to change income tax rate from 25% to 15%. Now, that means that the government will lose income, am I correct? Because they would have lost the 10% that you have reduced.
Yeah.
That is $90 billion. The PNP said, no, we not do it, so. We will increase the threshold to 3.5 million. That is $55 billion. This is not my figures. This is Price Waterhouse having calculated what 3 million would be, and we use it to use a exponential of what 3 million would be versus 3.5 million would be. So the JLP's cost is 90 billion. The PNP's cost is 55 billion. The two we have the same $100. But them we have spent $90, so we can't afford $55. But them can afford $90. It is a contrary thing to me that every time PNP says something, them say how it will be funded. But when JLP says something, it's like JLP have them personal money. Is what? JLP rich personally and I go use one of the 28 accounts I go fund it? Or the same budget exists. Now, how is it that we will fund it?
That's a big question.
But there's a thing called a fiscal policy paper. So each year when the government provide the budget, they also must provide a projection of what different things will be in a fiscal policy paper.
Okay.
It says that natural increase in revenues will be $147 billion in the next 3 years. Now, how can we not afford 55 billion out of 147 billion? This is their projections, JLP's projections. They are also planning to give up 90 billion. So how them can give up 90 billion, but we can't give up 55 billion? What disqualify we? You understand? So the problem that I have
for our own country,
is that concept. Now, the second component is our $36 billion for our programs. And because of the billion, people might not understand. Any serious government must pay their debt and must pay their salaries. So the entire election is around the other rest of money we're left after debt and salaries. Because no matter who the debt must be paid, salaries must be paid.
Yeah.
So $360 billion left. All right. So I'm just going to put it in context. We're the foster parents of the society. When you're government, you're the foster parent. You're the father of the nation. You have to take care of people. Your duty. So this father have $360,000. The priorities of feeding the children, of sending them to school, of giving health care, of sending them to university, of giving them access to housing is $36,000 out of $360,000. Which father can legitimately say, I can't afford $36,000 out of $360,000 as the priorities of our society? So when you see them come and say that, oh, PNP can't afford, why can't we afford $36,000 to make sure children are fed? Why can't we afford $36,000 out of $360,000? But through $1 billion, it's hard for people to conceptualize billion.
Yeah.
So nationwide now, JLPFM, come through and say, yo, PNP's cost is 90 billion. I know PNP alone around. What's JLP's cost? Because one of JLP program is 90 billion. The whole of our program is 90 billion. You put up big brawling. This when a money in 90 billion, I never see more than 40,000 in life. Him start to say this, no sir, where am I get 90 billion from? Because it's concept of money. But just the forgiveness of the 10% is 90 billion for JLP. Their total, our total is equal to one of their promises. I mean, nobody say how them are going to fund it. So me want to know who to stop we from fund it. Same place where them get the 200 used buses, where used cars where we not get up till this point. The same place where Daryl Vaz get the $1.4 billion to buy the BBL bus them where don't cost 300 million. The same place where them get money for pay Market Me because she's the minister girlfriend.
Wow.
The same place where them get money to pay off Ram Sharak for not talk about how she was hired at Petrojam without any CXC. The same place where them get money from Fian Jones, let's buy $1 billion out of vote up on the TV. The same place where them get money to do the things that they are promising is the same place we will get money to do it. What is mathematically undeniable is that 10% of what is available is not unaffordable. And none of what we have said can be deemed to be unnecessary. Is it unnecessary to give children food if they're hungry? Is it unnecessary to give them health care? Is it unnecessary to make you can own a home? Is it unnecessary to do a first in the family scholarship so that a person isn't burdened by the cost of student loan when them should be bailing out their family out of debt and out of poverty? None of those. So them can't say the idea is unnecessary. So they come with a cost. But you see, those who know the cost of everything often don't know the value of nothing. We start with the value. Then we analyze the cost and recognize that it is within the budget. Wow. And we will utilize the budget to do that. Wow.
Well, I think I can put one more question because, you know,
election. Any question? If I'm me, I try if you left, you know, me have look at me one time.
No. We're tiger. Remember, say for later.
Yes.
But a lot of young people feel, I think this is a topic of discussion that we've had with you a lot of times when you're up here, that they're disillusioned with the government, they're disillusioned with politics.
Yes.
I want to know what's the PNP's plan to restore the faith in politicians and even government officials if it's that, you know, you come into power. Because I feel like, you know, you mentioned how much, you know, scandals and investigation going on. But the fact of the matter is there's been other scandals on the orange side as well. So,
but not to the level that we're seeing now.
But two sides them said it. Yes. But still, what can be done?
Performance. You have to perform. One of the things that the people are having a problem with is that they don't believe that it is possible. See, one of the things that PJ Patterson have taught me when I was depressed about people not wanting education and not wanting the things I'm proposing. You remember when I was in East Rural and them demonstrated education can and picnic can vote, and I was like depressed about it. And he said, what is the problem is not the concept, is the confidence. You see, they don't have the confidence that it will work for them. So when you tell me, say 20 year time, I have a degree per household. If him think him dunce and him inherit him dunceness, him not think that will happen for him. When you say me I give you a goat and then that turn in a herd a goat, if him think him goat go dead, a waste of time for give me this goat. So the lack of confidence within the people make the policy proposals sound as if it's not for me. Now, that lack of confidence in themselves is one thing, but the lack of confidence in the politician is a bigger thing. So what you say now gonna happen. So since what you say now gonna happen, it doesn't make no sense me listen to what you say.
It even make no sense me
the
vote.
more you start to prove that what you said happened, is the more that confidence is going to grow. Are you understanding what I'm saying? So me come and say, yo, I'm gonna fix education, I'm gonna do everything. If 5 years come and you see the same 65%, you're gonna say, I'll rasta there for 3 minutes. Are you understanding? If 5 years come now and you see it reach 70%, it might not reach 80. But you start to see trajectory. You start to see evidence. When me I build my house, every time something do, you're excited. When they build the foundation, you take 1 million foundation picture. Then when they put up the steel, you come and take steel picture. Then when they put the block, so as you see progress, you start to gain confidence. So the only thing the PNP can legitimately do to rebuild confidence is to deliver. And then to be truthful if you're not delivering. And so I think that is what we have to do. You can't go cut a ribbon for every house where you open. And then when you do the maths, it's 30 houses you do per year. And you say that you need 6,000 of those houses. It will take 200 years. So when time a man look into that, he must say, oh, this a man take me for fool. Because I cut so much ribbon that I think say $1 million house a bill. When him not go done till 200 years, neither me nor him not go there for 200 years. You understand me? By that time, space taxi is a thing for real. You understand? so that is what I have to do. That's what Alfred have to do. That's what Mark have to do. Is to deliver. If we're victorious, and I hope that we will be victorious.
Well,
okay.
One more thing. Why should people vote for PNP? I'm not saying it's not that. Yeah. Why would you say that people should vote PNP?
I said people should vote for PNP because the PNP should win, and there's 2 reasons the PNP should win. The first is by what the JLP has done, they should lose. Had we had a Mason that tell me said $2 million to fix my house, and when I go find and come back, him said $22 million to fix the house, me and him would have fight, and I wouldn't pay him, and I wouldn't give him no other work. That's what Tufton have done with Cornwall Regional. It was supposed to be $2 billion, and it reached $22 billion. Had I gone to a teacher,
context matters there, but as I said, would say
context would matter. My house, but me and him still a fight because he did the analysis, and then him tell me said the overrun is 11 times. If the overrun was just $1 million, maybe me accept it. If I give a teacher my data and she had 84%, and when it done, she come back at 65%, I'd have fired that teacher. So it is now time for the results to show, and the results are not showing in the people's life and their survival. But the level of corruption and thievery, there must be a punishment for it. Politicians can't believe that they can be so wanton and so blatant.
This is true.
In thievery.
Across the board.
So therefore, right. So each time the man show that wantonness, eventually I'm going to realize punishment is on the horizon. And then I hope that punishment characterize is corruption and is thievery.
So that's why one by one they're going to jail?
That's why we have to do that. Because first of all, every virgin of a politician now expect these to continue, the friendship in contracts. Every girl when a politician expect her work, even if she's not qualified. Don't forget that they fired somebody at Petrojam, hired this lady that wasn't qualified for the job, then gave her a raise. At some hurdle, you should have dropped. You understand? If she's not qualified, all right, then keep the same money. You give her a raise and then pay her to be silent. So they must be punished. So the JLP should lose. And then the second reason I think the PNP should win is that we have better policies. On a comparison, even when you look at the 3.5 versus the reduction, in the reduction of interest rate of income tax, the teacher will get $30,000. Andrew Holness will make $28 million, we get $2.6 million. So Andrew Holness will benefit $2.6 million when the teacher benefit $30,000. Under our system, Andrew Holness benefit $200,000, the teacher benefit $80,000. So there's greater equity. So what Andrew really did try to do was to give himself a next raise. He thought I was busy. But I see you, and she say you really try to get $2.6 million for yourself. It is a plan that benefits the wealthy. The PNP's plan, the first in the family, that is a plan that benefits the poor. The school feeding, that's a plan that benefit the poor. The rent to own, that's a plan that benefit the poor. You can see a desire for equity in the PNP's proposals. You don't see an equal desire for equity. Not taxing overtime, not taxing tips. Those are desires for equity. What JLP said, not taxing bank, you understand? So we have proven ourselves to be the people's party, the poor people's party. And by extension, because the average Jamaican would conceive himself as not wealthy, I believe a government that is directed to them would be a more beneficial government. So the PNP should win for better ideas, and the JLP should lose because their performance is poor and their thievery is too great.
Wow.
Ladies and gents, Sir Damion Crawford, thanks again for joining us, sir.
Yes.
You know, you're always welcome up here. I hope the lighting was to your liking.
Yeah.
I
I'm in a shine today.
I don't think you've ever had any lighting issues here.
You weren't in the sun that much today.
And I hope me perform better than that.
I think, you know, so once a day I talk to family, you know what I mean? Like, I'm going to test about certain things, but it's a conversation, you know, of ideas. I feel more of this needs to be happening.
So people understand what we are doing.
Exactly.
JLPFM now, them let us spread some rumors.
Ah, boy.
And big up Northwest and Catherine, because you know, that's where I'm at. And you at and Low Idarsville, Treadways, those people are people who are coming out for me. Landslide.
All right, people. Big up yourself, Sir Crawford. We need to have a farming conversation after this.
Farmer heart.
School. All right, people. Sir Damion Crawford, I'll fix now. We that give thanks again.
Love and honor.